So now for part 3 of this comprehensive look at the VanQuest Markor 45. So why did I do a 3-part video on this bag? Well, in my opinion, it's really because this bag to me has so many different potential options moving forward into the future that it's worth taking a real deep, comprehensive look at this bag, fully understanding it, understanding VanQuest's mentality, what direction they're moving in, and what this could potentially do for a large number of customers. Now, when I say a large number of customers, as we've already discussed, this bag is kind of crossing between different genres, whether it's tactical, hunting, backpacking, anything that has outdoor speaking about it, this bag can pretty much do it. And at this point, I've had a good amount of time with it. I have a lot of really solid ideas and understanding about this bag, and I really wanted to take the opportunity to share it with you in great detail. So some of the things I want to discuss is, first off, my experience. I had the ability to carry this bag for about 14 and a half miles in the mountains, over 3,000 feet of vertical elevation gain with a pack weight of 46.8 pounds, which is pretty solid. Now, granted, I did not carry that full weight the entire time, but I did have the opportunity to carry this bag into a campsite, set up my camp, and then from there continue to carry it with a little bit less gear, but still further and deeper into the mountains. So I had some good pack time on my shoulders and on my back and on my waist, and just had a good opportunity to really feel the bag and how it would react. And overall, the comfort is excellent. I like the ride quality. It fits really well. The harness system is excellent. You're able to fit this and tailor it perfectly to your body, and it definitely handled the weight with ease. Now, furthermore, the features in general are ample. There are features completely across this bag, and as it is, I feel as though the features are totally suitable for what it needs to do. However, I do have a fundamental philosophical difference in what I would like to see out of this bag, and I think where VanQuest is with this right now. Now, I haven't necessarily talked to them in detail about this. I've just been given some general understanding about the bag and about the company, but not really at this point have I had any real, true, in-depth conversation about this bag. So if I'm speaking to something they're already considering, I don't really know. However, my impression at this point, and what I would really like to see out of this bag, is that the bag itself is simply a platform. Basically, this to me, because it's supposed to cover all these different genres, really needs to be extremely flexible, and it is. However, I think at this particular time, the way it's built and with the features that it has, even though it's trying to kind of cater to both the tactical and the backpacking application, I think it could do better. Now, when I say that, the reason why I'm speaking to that is because a lot of the accessories on here are general. They're not specific to the type of activity that you're going to do. So in essence, what I would really like to see, for example, if I remove the beaver tail altogether from this bag right now, I think you'll start to see that the bag itself just simply is becoming more of a platform. And what I mean by that is you do have the ability to potentially strap different things on the bag itself, utilizing all the hardware. So for example, now that I have the beaver tail off, the bag is just a little bit more simple. And in that regard, now I'm saying you have the ability really to tailor this more towards a tactical application or a backpacking application or a hunting application. Me personally, as a backpacker, I'm not looking to connect a gun. I'm not looking to carry anything in, ballistics or any sort of gear like that. However, I do want to carry potentially an axe and a tarp, and I do want to have myself a sensible day pack so I can potentially haul my heavy load all the way into the mountains, set up a camp, and then continue on with a lighter bag. Well, to me, this beaver tail has a whole bunch of different potential far beyond what it's doing simply as part of this Markor 45. And what I mean by that, let's just say this beaver tail, this particular one, is the tactical beaver tail. Well, could you potentially have a different one that's slightly suited better for backpacking? I'd say absolutely. One that's a little bit more of a pouch. Maybe it has the ability to add some additional accessory straps. I think that would work out very well. Now, this beaver tail here really is a little bit stiff. It has sort of like a plastic sheet inside. I think it's intended to potentially put some sort of ballistics sort of protection in here, so like a bulletproof vest or something like that. Now, in that regard, VanQuest built this specifically to go on the back of the bag. Well, let's just say these were sold as an accessory. Anybody could get multiple, and this actually makes, pretty decent protection for your chest. It could potentially be clipped on to the front of the bag in some fashion. I would say if this was made more for the backpacking application, again, maybe it would have zippers instead of Velcro. It would be a little more of a pouch style. You could connect water bottle sleeves on here, which would be sweet, or you could put your bladder on the inside. I think this, to me, would make a totally suitable day pack. But where it's just a little bit rigid with the plastic in there, maybe the beaver tail that you use for the backpacking application would just be slightly different. So furthermore, who's to say how far you could go with that mentality and really tailor this for all kinds of different circumstances? Now, when I first started loading this out, I am used to a 60 or a 65 liter pack, and I thought the 45 was going to be very difficult. However, the further and further I got into it, the more and more I realized that 45 liters is perfect as a baseline. So where this pack, again, thinking of this as more of a platform, the 45 liters is your platform base, and it's all the things you are able to bolt onto this that give you the additional capacity. So for me, I connected my saddlebags. It would be very easy to have a very specific and tailored bottom to this to allow for some additional gear. Even more so, if you're going to try to use this in a backpacking application, it would be excellent to have an expandable head pack. You really need the ability to lash certain gear on here and in a specific way, and a lot of backpackers are used to kind of having that expandable head pack. Now, with that said, this fabric is a little bit on the heavy side for backpacking. I do like the 1000 denier and 500 denier combination. However, I do also believe that with Cordura fabric, which is excellent quality and super durable anyway, you could potentially get away with just a slightly lighter fabric on the 500 denier side. I would leave the 1000 at all those critical points. I would not mess with the harness system at all. The harness system is beautiful and robust and nice and sturdy and feels great. It's just, if you wanted to lose a little bit of fabric weight, you could do it within this area of the 500 denier Cordura. Now, adding on some additional details, I found as though I really wanted the laser cut MOLLE really in this Velcro field here, where I was trying to connect a pack on there, and I really couldn't get the pouch that I wanted to appropriately situated on here. So I think that would really aid in your ability to customize this even more. And then up at the top of the bag, just having a couple of loops or attachment points here would be excellent. Now, additionally, having the ability to access the internal compartments, which you do have the ability here to load out this external flap. However, you cannot access that gear from the inside. So I think having the ability basically to access these both from the inside and the outside would be helpful. So in that regard, pretty much what would have to happen is these loops here would pretty much have to be a little bit more spaced and thought through to accommodate the zipper tracks, but I think that would be overall an enhancement. Now, I'm not foolish in thinking that all these little extras that you add on, don't add cost. Of course it does. But at that point, what I'm saying is, I think this bag being sold as a platform and having all the additional accessories capable of being bolted onto here would add value to the customer. I know it would to me. I am very excited about this bag as a base platform, and I'm really looking forward to additional chances to use it and load it out differently and carry different gear, and I know it's going to be great for me. Even though it's a little heavy, carrying 7 or some odd pounds of pack weight alone is a ton for backpacking, and especially at the distances that I was going, but it's durable. and it carries well. I think a little bit of refinement would go a long way, so maybe considering that slightly lighter fabric, adding a couple of little extras, maybe even keeping the pack at roughly the same cost overall, but having the additional bolt-on accessories to really make this customizable. Now, there are a couple funny little details that I realized. Once you remove the beaver tail, you're kind of looking for a spot to put these straps. Now, you can kind of cinch them all the way in, which works out well on the bottom connectors. On the top, you can kind of do the same. However, I think it would be great to basically be able to use these straps to your advantage and pretty much wrap them around the front and have the ability to kind of clip on gear. So, if there was maybe an additional little two-sided clip that you could use to clip these together, that would be helpful. And maybe you just run it through these straps and kind of pinch them together. They're a little bit short in terms of the strap length to do that, but the two-sided strap that makes up the difference here would definitely be able to accommodate that. So just providing a little two-way, call it female end buckle, would work out pretty well, where you could wrap these around and then click them in, and that would do two things. One, manage the straps when you're not using it, but two, add some additional functionality. I did find that the lower pouch was just a bit tight for my sleeping bag, but I got it in there. Now I'm lucky because I do have a lightweight down bag that was able to fit. I could see a larger bag really having trouble, but mine did fit in there. And overall, all my gear did fit pretty well. I definitely overpacked, and that's a good thing for this test. I really wanted to have a good amount of gear, load this up, feel how it felt on my back, how it carried, to see if overall this was going to be able to handle it, and it certainly did. The durability's there. There's barely even a scratch on this, and this thing got beat up. I mean, I carried it a good distance, put it down on rocks. It was rubbing through branches and trees and got all muddy. And at this point, I mean, it's pretty much cleaned up. I could practically pass this as new, and it's got some decent use on it already. So in that regard, that's where that heavy duty material pays off and really sort of helps to protect the bag and keep everything in good working order and nice and protected. So overall, very good experience, and I am very impressed. And there's really only one part of the bag that really started to show. This, I believe, is called Hypalon. Did stretch out quite a bit. This is the only part of the bag that shows any sort of wear, and it did stretch under the weight of my saddlebags, which had my food and water. So a couple liters of water, really kind of pulling on that. Did stretch it out a little bit over the course of my trip, and I found that it was kind of whacking into my shoulder as I was hiking after a while. But other than that, really everything else, all the stitching, all the fabric, the back of the panel and the way the straps look, everything is perfect. So overall, the durability is certainly there. And then the other place where I did have a little bit of trouble, I found I was getting moisture into the zippers. Now, ultimately, it did not cause any problem for my gear. If it rained heavier, it might have. The rain we experienced wasn't really a driving rain. It was steady, and it was somewhat heavy at times, but it was not a driving rain. And so really the zipper on the top of the bag was a little bit suspect to that. Now, I do have a couple of thoughts. First is the fabric itself was reasonably water resistant. So the fabric did not have a problem with the rain. It's just the zipper. So either rubberizing the zipper may possibly help. I've seen rubberized zippers like this that would potentially aid in keeping the water out, or that head pack design for the backpacking application would certainly work, where it would create pretty much a dome over the top of this, or maybe even just a very, call it sculpted sort of cap that would go over this for a rainy application. Now, beyond that, you could certainly get a full-fledged pack cover. That would be fine. But again, for me, where I'm already carrying a decent amount of pack weight, I really wouldn't want to add something else that's a little bit bulky and takes up space and adds more weight, like a pack cover, if I could get something that adds a little more functionality, kind of like that head pack. So at least at that point, you would have the protection and you would also get the functionality. And so now, just to wrap this up, first and foremost, I'd like to say thank you very much to VanQuest for providing this great product for review. I have enjoyed it very much. I hope that my feedback is helpful and my experience will help you into the future to make little tweaks if you find it's worth it. These ideas are obviously my own personal experiences and my own sort of personal preferences wrapped up, but I do also think that basically I have a pretty decent understanding of what works and what works for me and what would work well for other people, and I do think that some of these little add-ons and little kind of tweaks would go a long way. But regardless of that, you've developed an excellent product here. Beautifully made, well thought through, wonderful features, and if this is an indication of what direction you're going on into the future, I'm extremely excited. So alright guys, thanks for stopping by. I hope you like what you saw. I hope you found it a little bit informative. If you like what you saw, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for stopping by. Take care now. I'll see you soon.